You're watching News 24 Live with just one round left of the pool phase of the Rugby World Cup. It's turning out to be a rather interesting tournament. Today we have a very special guest with us, former Ireland captain Dean Kinnigan, who played 19 tests for Ireland, 9 of those as captain. He's going to look ahead at the remaining round and put in some predictions of who might go far in the tournament. Dion, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Former Ireland captain, as I mentioned, let's just quickly start with them. Ireland have quietly been going about their business in this tournament. They struggled against Italy yesterday, but pulled off, their third consecutive win. How far do you see them going?
Well, I think we must remember they were Six Nations champions 2 years in a row. They rested a lot of their senior players in the warm-up games and still nearly beat sides like England. They did beat Wales. So they've got a good squad. They haven't picked up injuries, which is important in a World Cup. And they got a little bit of a wake-up call yesterday against Italy, which I think they needed. They'd had 2 first-round games which they cruised through. And I think they will be happy where they stand in this tournament at the moment. They've got a challenging game on the weekend against France. And as we know, the French are completely unpredictable. France is full of talent, but don't seem to be able to get together at the moment under Saint-André. But I think Ireland will not underestimate the task ahead on the weekend.
So one round left, Dion. Looking at the other pool, South Africa bouncing back, of course, after that.
I'm actually favouring South Africa to go very far in this tournament. South Africa had their wake-up call, thankfully, in the first game against Japan. I'm sorry for Jean de Villiers, but he's come back injured. But the new centre pairing, I think, is a better balance at the moment for South Africa. Also, the young lock combination they had on the weekend was very impressive. And the way I read it is South Africa should end up playing Wales in the quarters. As we know, Wales have been decimated by injury. And even though they've put up a brave performance and are going to go through second probably in their pool, I think most South Africans would fancy their chances against Wales. And if I look further down into the tournament, that would mean maybe South Africa beating Wales, coming up against the All Blacks in the semis at Twickenham, which any side can win that. So we would have to give South Africa a 50-50 chance on that. And then coming up the other leg, if Ireland are able to carry it off against France, Ireland could be playing Argentina in the quarters, which will see them probably Ireland playing Australia in semis, which means that you could have 2 teams in green in the final, which makes me very happy because I want to be across there for the final.
Okay, and of course you are half South African, half Irish.
I wear that hat with a lot of pride. I'm very proud to have grown up in South Africa, and I'm very proud to have played for Ireland, and nothing could make me happier than to have both sides in the final.
Now, Dion, you've obviously played in those conditions in the UK and Ireland, and there's been some sort of comment about the Boks, the way that they're sort of peaking now, the type of game they play, and the weather conditions sort of worsening now. You're going to get a bit more rain and a bit more of that kind of set piece, wrestle territory type rugby. It might actually be perfect for the Boks. What about the Northern Hemisphere sort of opposition to you?
Yeah, well, I think the Boks have always played good World Cup rugby because they play a percentage game and they base a lot of their game around set phases, scrums, lineouts. They have a good rush defence. They've got big ball carriers which are effective in the wet. And I think as the tournament goes on and as it gets wetter, the history tells us the Bok game plan generally is good. We all like to watch the All Blacks play. They put a lot of speed on the ball, they move the ball around a lot, but it's in a knockout situation in a World Cup, sometimes the conservative game plan is better than the one where the ball is given a lot of air. And so that's why I think the All Blacks haven't had the record that most people would have expected they would have in World Cups. And they tend to get knocked over quarters, semis, if the conditions aren't ideal and if it is a pressure kind of situation, a pressure kind of game. Ireland play the percentage rugby, probably the best out of all the Northern Hemisphere sides at the moment. very much like the South African side. They have a good line out, a good scrum. They have Johnny Sexton, who kicks into the right areas of the field, and you've got James Hislop at number 8, who's a good ball carrier, and that link between sort of the backs and the forwards with Conor Murray is very good and very, very strong. So like South Africa seems to be getting that link in place with Dwayne slowly playing himself into form, Faree's there, and it looks like South Africa gone for Pollard. They've also got their 3 generals in the right position, and I think it's very important that you have 3 players in any side in those areas that can dictate where you are in the field. And I think Ireland and South Africa are slowly getting that right. We can't forget about Australia. Very impressive against England.